question, please put your name in the chat and wait for me to call on you. If you're not asking a question, we'd ask you to keep your mics muted. We will get started today with David Murray.
Coach, what is your routine for bringing a team down after a first win, particularly a win of this magnitude?
The biggest thing is really just constant emphasis, and it starts in the weight room on Sunday. And everybody, the other teams have talked about it too. The 24-hour rule, let it go after 24 hours, and we officially, try to seal it up after our Sunday practice, and then constantly reinforce it, and then also try to get some of your team leaders to reinforce it with the rest of the group, but and just focus on the next task at hand, which is watching film for Arkansas and preparing our game plan for this week.
Next, we'll go to Ben Portnoy.
Mike, what's Will Rogers' status, and I guess where's he kind of stand heading into this week?
Yeah, well, he wasn't available last game, so we're really hoping for the best this week.
If he can't go, are you expecting to run Garrett at quarterback at all, or is he going to stick at receiver where he's at?
Well, we'll see.
Next, we'll go to Courtney Robb.
Coach, Arkansas held Georgia to just 5 first-half points last weekend. What's your first impression of what you've seen from their defense from last week?
Arkansas's defense?
Yeah.
I thought they were a pretty tenacious group. I thought that they moved around well. I thought they were aggressive. And they took they just flat out took a half away from Georgia, and I thought that was quite impressive. And then I felt like they played really hard. I think that they've got some speed out there. And then I think that, schematically that's, of course, worked in the past in this conference. And so I think it'll be a good challenge.
Alan Blinder.
Coach, I want to go back to Saturday's game for just a second. You didn't have wear a face covering actively for a lot of the game. Why not?
Well, I tried to remember the best I could. Then I found myself talking all of the time, because I'm calling the plays as well. So I was in a constant state of talking. So between me taking it down to talk, me lifting it up and it falling down on its own, and me remembering to put it back up, I think, there were a number of challenges there. But, with a little practice, who knows, it may be better this week. How'd you do with your face mask? Are you a pretty good face mask guy?
I do my best.
Okay, so let me ask you, let's get a few pointers here. Okay, what do you do when it does the breathe in thing on the mouth? What kind of face mask you got?
I got just one I bought off Amazon that, goes around my ears and that kind of thing.
So the ears and then this, right?
Yeah.
See, I've got that face sock thing, which is good and bad. It sits right on your neck instead of hangs from your ear. But then, do you ever find that, and then pretty soon, those things will start to smell bad. And then all of a sudden you're going, what's that smell? What's going on out there? No, there's nothing going on out there. That's your breath. And then, now I need to practice with that. But what do you do when you're talking? Did you have a trigger or something that reminds you when to pull that thing back up? Because I found myself too preoccupied to do it. And then all of a sudden I notice it's around my neck there.
Yeah, I think everyone's different. So I was just curious what your thinking was. If it was some kind of statement, if it was.
I try to do my best with it, but once you're 6 feet apart, I can't help but wonder if some of this isn't an homage to politicians. So, but I do try to stay 6 feet apart in between times too.
We'll go to Garrick Hodge.
Mike, I'm just wondering where you or anybody else got an actual bandwagon for that video this morning.
we actually made it not too long ago. Hang on, where'd we get that wagon? Well, okay, your answer is as satisfactory as mine is. They found it, and then I guess that, I don't know. They wanted a wagon, so we went over there to the stadium, climbed in, and that was fairly athletic, if I do say so myself, getting on top of that wagon, and and they're pretty creative here and did a good job putting it together. But now I pretty much just got a call and hey, if you don't mind saying a few words, and then we went in the tunnel of the stadium and they said, all right, here's a wagon. We want you to sit here. And so then it was kind of funny. So I climbed in on the wagon, using the hub and the spokes like you see them do on Westerns. But they didn't have the brake on, so that thing starts, the wheel starts turning and the wagon starts going backwards, you see. So anyway, but it was an adventure and turned out kind of cool, I heard.
We'll go to Nicole Auerbach.
Mike, I know, part of the selling point of the air raid is the simplicity. So how long does it usually take quarterbacks to grasp it?
I don't think, you always are working on something. You always keep progressing. We tell these guys, make the corrections we give you. We say, give me something else to coach, because if you're coaching, if they don't make the correction, you're coaching the same thing. And so we say, give us something else to coach. And so there is that about it. No matter what happens, we'll continue to say, give us something else to coach, and we'll keep looking for ways to refine it. I think as far as knowing the plays, there's a combination: knowing the plays, knowing the scheme, and then the other is becoming familiar with your personnel, which we're still working on that. We're still battling that, becoming familiar enough with your personnel, who's going to be where, when, and what's the timing of all that. And that was tough for us because we had to kind of search for who could do what, and because it was kind of being revealed to us as we went because we weren't here. But I think as far as the plays themselves, a spring ball you can, maybe 12 practices, the basis, but that doesn't mean that, it's like auto wired as far as muscle memory. You go back, okay, boom, I'm coming to the dig right now. It's you can thoroughly draw it up on the chalkboard and all the reads. And but you want to kind of get that so it's ingrained and rep to the point where you can do it over and over without thinking about it so much. Let's say 12 practices.
Do you think that is a little bit of an advantage? I mean, it was such a weird off season for everyone, but the fact that you've been able to do this with transfer quarterbacks and what KJ was able to do on Saturday, was that an advantage that you were able to get the basics down?
I think the experience helped. I think KJ's experience, the fact that he'd been a starter for a little over 2 years in major college, I think definitely helped, and I think it helped create some stability to our offense and our team. And then I think, for good or for bad, I've had some experience in coming in and installing things, and which I definitely drew on. I have to say I'm glad this isn't the first time I tried to do that, because with the shortened time frame, we tried to expedite, what we did and how we did to try to make it as clear as we possibly could. And then also I had some, we had a number of coaches that I'd worked with in the past. So, we were pretty familiar with, together how it was going to go and what we wanted to try to accomplish, or what we continue to try to want to accomplish. And so I think that helped. But this is, everything is exciting now. But Arkansas is a tough football team, and they're a hungry football team. They looked really good against the University of Georgia, and under the best of circumstances, they're going to be very difficult to beat. And we just need to focus on that and all those things you're talking about: install, refine, get better, draw from experience, all the rest. We got to do that this week, and we need a full week of that. We need a week from start to finish in order to go out there and play Arkansas.
Mike, whenever you have a quarterback do what KJ did last week at LSU, and you see the stats and things, I know that you win awards and that sort of deal, but I know that probably internally there's still a lot you'd like him to fix, even after a performance like that. When you evaluate him, what do you think KJ, as you look at the film, could do even better, I guess, heading into the rest of the season?
I think he needs to communicate better. I think he needs to communicate better. When he moves in the pocket, keep two hands on the football. Some of the plays he can read and react better. I think he read the field pretty good and reacted pretty good. But then there's everybody's got the handful of plays where we didn't. I think we got to refine that even more. And then because we weren't perfect by any stretch. We didn't coach a perfect game. We didn't play a perfect game. We had a winning effort, but we weren't a polished group out there. We left an awful lot on the table out there, and that's the thing. I mean, you're constantly trying to chase and be your best, and we need to make some progress on that this week.
Tyler Horka.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, we've talked about KJ a lot, and obviously he had a lot to do with the reason your offense did so well. But I went back and looked at your first game at Washington State and then at Texas Tech, and obviously this one was by far, numbers-wise, better than both of those. What are some other reasons why the air raid worked so well in week one, beyond KJ doing what he did?
I think one thing is he was experienced and was able to pick it up quickly. I think the other thing is I think our coaching staff had more experience together, with regard to the transition. At Texas Tech, that was my first head coaching job. So, and there were some people that I knew, but, out of the blocks, first time being a head coach, that's a little bit like when you first get married. You can describe it to somebody, but that's not, that first year you'll learn quite a bit about yourself and your spouse and all the above, and so it's which is why some aren't the Marion type. It's like W.C. Fields says, if at first you don't succeed, try again. But then if you don't succeed, don't be a damn fool. Stop. But anyway, but I think that helped. I think we had some really highly motivated players. I thought they were highly motivated. And part of me, I don't know if our group came back really motivated, even things like running and lifting and, the grind stuff. And we did our best to motivate and stimulate that spirit and that mindset. But I have wondered a little bit whether or not a portion of it didn't have to do with the fact that, that they were away from each other and that they missed it and, felt like they narrowly missed getting it taken away from them, football. I think that, the threat of football being taken away might have really kind of unified the focus and effort once they got it back to really play together. Because I and it certainly hasn't been perfect, and I haven't loved everything I've seen. And yes, I've yelled and had people do up downs. I've also gone back in my office and wondered if I could actually coach another first down. But we really have. I felt like have played hard, and I think that, and I wonder if the threat of having it being taken away wasn't part of that. I don't know, and it has been a strange year, but we really have kind of been set to work for the most part, and compared to other teams I've had too.
Paul Jones.
Coach, after looking at the film, what did you think about the offensive line in that first game and how they held up, throwing the ball 60 times?
Thought we had to play better. You know, that definitely, I mean, you're not going to be able to select a position. I thought we played great at it. I thought we competed. We played hard at all the positions. I thought we did some good things. I thought we played with 4 of the 5 a lot. I thought that sometimes we'd get frustrated and resort to street ball. In other words, just swinging and flailing really hard instead of technique and fundamentals and technique. And we've got to get to where we kind of stay within ourselves and keep that focus where it doesn't just become kind of a slugfest where it's synchronized and we do have the good fundamentals and technique. And so what's good about it is we had some plays, some really good plays that we can draw from and say, see, we like this one, do it like this. And then we have the other ones where we say nothing like this and go back to the one we first showed you type of deal.
We'll go back to Ben.
Mike, I know KJ started for 2 years at Stanford, but when you guys recruited him and after his injury, how much of a known commodity was he? And I guess how much of a what? Known commodity was he when you guys did recruit him, given his injury and kind of what he was working back from?
I think he was pretty known, because he'd started it against the whole conference for 2 years, a little over 2 years. So we faced him twice. He was pretty well known. I mean, he was pretty well thought of. And then coming out of high school, SC was chasing him around out of high school. And then, I think he had plenty of exposure, and then there's a lot of film on him too.
Just in terms of his injury and coming off what he was rehabbing with, I mean, he said after the game that he couldn't throw a football at this time last year. I mean, was he pretty much healthy when you guys were going after him?
I'd say he was. I would say he was healthy, but he wasn't back in shape yet. But it was the type of injury that they, felt like there'd be no problem coming back from. But you have to work. It's like anything; you got to work through it. When I was his age, if I got injured, I felt like I'd heal fast. If I get injured now, shoot, it'll never be right again.
More. We'll go to Courtney Robb.
Coach, how do your expectations change for KJ after watching what he was able to do last weekend?
They really don't. You just kind of keep trying to polish it and get it better. And then the biggest thing is just do the same things over and over again, but do them better. Is really, I wish I really had a better answer for you, but I'll be the first to tell you, our team and KJ all combined, probably aren't nearly as good as your impression. I feel like we have a long way to go. I think there's a lot of work we can do. I mean, and what's fulfilling about it is, like I say, we played hard. We had a winning effort, but I see a lot of things we can do better, and so do our coaches, and our players do too. That's the other thing. They're committed to getting better, and I hope we can take a big step that direction this week.
And we'll wrap up with Joel Coleman.
Coach, of course, down at Baton Rouge, you guys benefited from a stadium that was only 25% full. I guess I would ask, as a road team, how much did that help you guys to only have a stadium that was 25% full? Just what were some of the benefits of that as a road team, which Arkansas, I guess, would benefit from this week? And I guess what's some of the negatives that you guys are going to face only having a 25% stadium, as the home team this week?
It's kind of a tough question, because I kind of wonder. First of all, it was loud there. It wasn't as loud. I've been to LSU before. It wasn't as loud as when it's full capacity and they're letting it rip. But it was loud. I mean, you had to have silent count, because before we went in, I sort of wondered, was it going to be kind of like a spring game where I can just yell out, throw the post, and you know, and he'll dramatically jerk his head to the right and throw the post. Well, no, there's none of that. I mean, you know, the receiver on your near sideline could barely hear you. So you definitely needed silent count. Okay, and then the PA kind of pumped in, those announcements were inordinately loud, and there was some, I guess, sound effect crowd noise there. But it was, so it was louder than you think. I mean, you had to, if I shouted as loud as I could and KJ's out on the field, he's not going to hear me. I mean, I have to get out there to the hash to have a chance, and I don't know whether they hear my voice or they see, you know, see me walking out there, and just the movement catches somebody's attention. Hey, what's up? You know. So you did need silent count. You did need to communicate non-verbally. I just have to be honest. I haven't quite gotten the hang of the cutout people in the stands. You know, I mean, that's an episode of Twilight Zone. Some of you guys are probably all too young for Twilight Zone, but I mean the black and white Twilight Zone where Rod Sterling would get on there with the really creepy voice in the suit, and then all of a sudden, you know, is this real? Is it out of space? Is it you know, it was almost like you know, haunted houses met science fiction, that show. And then now all of a sudden we have these people frozen in time sitting there in this stadium with enthusiastic expressions on their face, but they can't move. And then yet the noise. So I don't know. I mean, I for one, I don't know if it's cool and people enjoy it, great. But that is a little surreal. The fake people in the stands, and I don't even know how they decide what, you know, the seating. I mean, do the fake people have a lottery of where they sit? Because I know this, some of those fake people have way better seats than other ones, and you know, I want to be one of those fake people on the 50-yard line about row 12, but you know, some of them are still up in the rafters, you know. So I mean, you know, in this world, in this day and age, in these funny times, even a fake person can get screwed, you know? So, yeah. So live clean, live smart, and maybe when you become a fake person, you'll get good seats at the LSU game. All right, anything else?
That was all, Coach. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Bubba. Good to see all you guys. And drink more Coke. If it's one day we'll be drinking fake Coke. So let's enjoy this while we can.